Crossed by the river Adige and embraced by impressive mountains, Trento is one of the best Italian cities to live in, thanks to its history, the environment, and the many events that take place during the year. Trento is a lively center, the seat of a prestigious university and many museums. The visit of Trento starts in Duomo Square, the heart of the city.
Mi trovo davanti alla fontana.
I am sitting by the Neptune fountain, the icon of the city of Trento for over 250 years. It's quite strange that the god of the sea is the symbol of a mountain city, don't you think? But you got to know that the ancient Roman name of Trento was TRIDENTUM, that is, 3 teeth, the 3 hills of the city, that here are called Dos Trento, the Dos Sant'Agata and the Dos San Rocco. That's why the god of the sea, the god with the trident, overlooks the main fountain of the main square of Trento. Although the one we have here is a bronze reproduction of the original statue, which have been sheltered in the courtyard of Thun Palace, the town hall of Trento. Behind the fountain rises the Cathedral of Trento, dedicated to San Vigilio, the city patron.
La facciata
The
principale.
main facade of the Cathedral of Trento is the one that looks onto the square. The door of the bishops stands out, so called because it was the entrance and exit door of the procession of the bishops during the Council of Trento, that took place here in the 16th century to oppose the Protestant Reformation. The rose window you see behind me is really interesting. It's called the Wheel of Fortune. Inside the wheel there is the mythological figure of the fortune, spinning it at random. The wheel is made of 12 spokes that represent the 12 hours of the day and also the 12 months. Outside the wheel you can see 12 men. Some suffer great misfortune, others gain windfalls. Indeed, the one on the top cheers with 2 goblets to celebrate his big moment. This is a way to remind us that a person's fortune can change in the blink of an eye. As we say in Italy when someone asks us about our life, well, not bad, you know, life is a spinning wheel. The construction of the cathedral began in 1212, thanks to Federico Vanga, one of the bishops who most contributed to the artistic development of the city. The cathedral hosted the Council of Trento from 1545 to 1563. It is dedicated to San Vigilio, whose relics were found in the Paleochristian church discovered in the 70s of the 20th century underneath the cathedral, while the Praetorian Palace, the ancient town hall next to the cathedral, is the seat of the Tridentine Diocesan Museum, with the exhibit of religious art and culture from Trentino between the 11th and the 19th century. From the museum you can also have a glimpse of the inner cathedral from above.
La torre di Piazza del
The
Duomo.
tower that overlooks Duomo Square is called the Civic Tower. It was built in the 11th century on the remains of the Porta Veronensis, an ancient Roman gate of the city. During the Council of Trento and important events, the tower was lit, and from its top, fireworks and shots were shot. 140 feet tall, it dominates the whole city. In the past it was a prison, and its bell called the Arengo, the public assembly, and called the death sentences, which were executed in this square. Unfortunately, the morning of the 4th of August 2015, a fire destroyed the wooden structure of the bell, that fell down and suffered serious damages. Therefore, the tower is closed. It should reopen next spring, I hope. I leave you a telephone number in the comments below so you can call and check. A hot chocolate, and then we go visit the Buonconsiglio Castle. The Buonconsiglio Castle is one of the main monuments in the province of Trento, and one of the biggest fortresses in northern Italy. Historic residence of the Prince Bishops until 1803, it's made of several buildings surrounded by protective walls. Castelvecchio is the oldest part, built in the 12th century. The Magno Palazzo is the 16th expansion in the forms of the Italian Renaissance, wanted by the Prince Bishop Bernardo Clesio, while the Baroque-style Giunta Albertiana dates back at the end of the 17th century. The castle is popular for the many plasters and frescoes, especially for the fresco of the Lodge of the Lion's Yard, a Renaissance masterpiece painted by Girolamo Romanino, where the sun chariot is surrounded by the allegories to the seasons, the sun and the moon, biblical, mythological and Roman history scenes. From the loggia by Romanino, you walk across the hall along the protective walls up to the Eagle Tower and the very famous Cycle of the Months, one of the best Gothic-style paintings ever made. 11 frames separated by little columns masterfully show life and society, just as habits and traditions of people in the late 13th century. The daily life of the aristocratic people and the work of the farmers are shown in detail as the different seasons of the year go by. The Buonconsiglio Castle witnesses many important historic events, as you can see in the room where are the portraits of the many bishops of the ecclesiastical principality, and even more after it became part of the Austrian Empire, and the Buonconsiglio Castle became a barracks. Right here, during the First World War, the three irredentists Cesare Battisti, Fabio Filzi and Damiano Chiesa were declared traitors and executed for being Austrian citizens who voluntarily fought in the Italian army. There is another place that commemorates that period of the Italian history, and the icon of irredentism. Few yards from the Buonconsiglio Castle, the Dos Trento hill rises on the city of Trento. On the top of the hill, in 1935, the mausoleum of Cesare Battisti was built. Inside, the remains of the soldier and his bust, sculpted by the local sculptor Eraldo Fozzer. The sunset is coming, so I decide to go back to the old town to take part to a traditional event of Trento. More than 90 wooden stalls, 3,000 gallons of mulled wine per day, Santa Claus house, tons of pretzels, canederli, and many other products from the Trentino culinary tradition. Cakes, handcraft products, toys, Christmas decorations, candles. So, from late November until the beginning of January of the following year, the Christmas market of Trento is much more than a chance for bargains. It's a special event that welcomes thousands of people every year, as well as a meeting point for citizens and tourists who want to hang out, have a glass of mulled wine with roast chestnuts, and enjoy the magic of Christmas.
Up on the housetop, reindeer paws, our jumps good
The next day I decide to visit the surroundings of Trento. So I go to Mount Bondone, the mountain that overlooks Trento and reaches an altitude of 7,000 feet above sea level. This is a good destination both in summer and in winter. With a snow park, ice skating rinks, more than 12 miles of ski slopes, this is a paradise for skiers, beginners and experts. And it's perfect also for me. It's a nice game, huh? Wow. Okay, well, after this great performance, I'd better go back in town. There's something more I want to show you. Do you know Gianni Caproni? No? Then come with me. Gianni Caproni was an aeronautical engineer, an entrepreneur and a pioneer in the field of aviation. He had the idea of not reusing his earlier inventions to create new airplanes, but to keep them in his workshop. That, in 1927, became the first aeronautical collection in the world, the Gianni Caproni Museum of Aeronautics. The museum shows the story of the pioneers of aviation in their early years and during the First World War. Many rare airplanes are part of the exhibit. That includes engines, propellers, relics, and the birth of civil aviation in Italy. But you know him, right? Yes, of course you know him. The statue of Dante Alighieri was placed here at the end of the 19th century, when Trento was still part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It's curious, it looks north and with a hand raised, to say to the Austro-Hungarian Empire and to the German civilization, stop, here begins Italy. I stroll down and out in the city, by the National Museum of the Alpine Soldiers, beyond the old town up to the Albere Palace. Then I reach the Toblino Lake, few miles from Trento, a stunning place with a beautiful castle from the 11th century, rebuilt in the 16th century. What hasn't changed across the centuries is the role of this place as a place of legends. According to one of these, this place once had a magic religious purpose. We go back in time, about 2000 years. The lake was deeper, and therefore Toblino Castle rose on an island. The inhabitants of this area believed it was a sacred place, so in the 3rd century they built a little temple to honor the Fati, ancient Roman divinities who could predict the future. According to another legend, a literary one, in the 17th century the Toblino Castle was the secret romantic shelter for the Prince Bishop of Trento Carlo Emanuele Madruzzo and a certain Claudia. This story was also the subject of the first historical novel called The Lover of the Cardinal, Claudia Particella, written in 1910 by a young journalist. This journalist later thought of a political career. His name was Benito Mussolini. Nowadays you can visit the castle only if you arrange an appointment. I leave you a phone number below so you can call. I called, there was a guided tour today, but then the guide got sick and... well, never mind. Try to call, maybe you will get to visit the castle. So, now, what am I doing with a radio and a glass? Okay, listen. I moved to Santa Massenza, a small village very close to Lake Toblino. This is a special evening for the village, and people don't stop coming. There's people playing guitar, someone is dancing, others are singing, and, in a blink of an eye, the streets and squares of the village are crowded. This is the Night of the Stills, a unique event for the hamlet of Santa Massenza, that relives the ancient tradition of the distillation of Grappa by setting up a movable show in the many distilleries of the village. People can explore the past and the present of the many families of distillers and celebrate the Grappa from Trentino. They explain how to get a high-quality product and give people tastes of Grappa. All the participants are in different teams, and they have to solve a riddle to be awarded as the winners of the Night of Stills. And let's go everybody to another distillery. Other Grappa tasties. Thank God, also food, if not, it would be really hard to continue the night. And again, let's see another show. Someone uses sophisticated special effects. Okay, we owe him a huge clapping. And, well, everyone has fun. Nobody thinks about the riddle anymore. We just want to enjoy the show and the night. That ends up in a gigantic toast. A jar is filled up with 5 bottles of the finest grappa from different distilleries. A big mix, and I just think it's wiser not to take part to this toast. Time to pack my bags. Our journey is over. Well, our trip here in Trento is over, but we keep on traveling. Indeed, I'm already thinking about the next stopover. A colorful place, a huge festival, but I'm not telling you anything. I want this to be a surprise. Make sure you let me know if you like Trento. Put a thumb up, ask me anything in the comments, and stay there. Subscribe my channel for more videos, so it will be like traveling with me to discover Italy. Come with me. Italian travel. Watch your head.